Pay attention to the woman unlocking the front door at 11:47 p.m. Her name is Vanessa Caldwell. She's 32 years old, a pediatric nurse at Cleveland General Hospital, and she's just finishing a double shift. She's exhausted. In 12 hours, she'll report back to work. But tonight, she's grateful. Her regular babysitter agreed to stay late. Now, pay attention to the man leaving through that same door at 12:03 a.m. His name is Adebayo Ogunleye. He's 28 years old, originally from Lagos, Nigeria, living in Cleveland for the past 6 years. He works part-time as a rideshare driver. He's been babysitting Vanessa's 7-year-old daughter, Lily, for 3 months. Vanessa found him through a childcare app. His profile had glowing reviews. Within 2 hours, Lily Caldwell would be gone. This was not babysitting. It was a carefully planned abduction. Vanessa Caldwell's life was structured around her daughter, single mother, nurse, every decision calculated to provide stability. Lily attended Riverside Elementary. She loved art class and had recently started taking piano lessons. Her bedroom walls were covered in her drawings, mostly of animals and flowers. Adebayo Ogunleye had applied through the app Sitter Match in late September. His profile listed 3 years of childcare experience, 5 5-star reviews. Background check, cleared. Vanessa interviewed him twice before hiring him. He was polite, punctual, and Lily liked him. He spoke about his own childhood in Nigeria, about wanting to work with children while attending community college. Everything about him seemed safe. The first red flag came at 2:14 a.m. on November 8th. Vanessa woke to use the bathroom. She checked on Lily out of habit. The bedroom was empty. The window was open. Cold air poured into the room. Lily's favorite stuffed rabbit sat on the pillow. Her shoes were gone. Vanessa ran through the apartment. She called Lily's name. No response. She checked every closet, every corner. She looked in the bathtub. She looked under beds. Then she called 911. Cleveland police arrived at 2:31 a.m. Officers Ramirez and Kowalski took the initial report. Missing child, 7 years old. Last seen at approximately 11:45 p.m. when her mother arrived home from work. Babysitter had left shortly after midnight. No signs of forced entry beyond the open window. Vanessa provided Adebayo's phone number. It went straight to voicemail. She pulled up his Sitter Match profile. It was gone. Deleted. The case was immediately elevated to Detective Sharon Vega, Cleveland PD's Crimes Against Children Unit. Vega had 18 years on the force. She'd worked dozens of abduction cases. She knew the statistics. The first 24 hours were critical. At 3 a.m., Vega obtained security footage from Vanessa's apartment building. The cameras showed Adebayo leaving at 12:03 a.m. He was alone. He was carrying a large duffel bag he hadn't brought in. He walked to a white Honda Civic parked 2 blocks away. The license plate was visible. The plate was registered to a rental company. The vehicle had been rented using a stolen credit card and fake driver's license. The name on the rental agreement, David Miller. No such person existed. At 4:15 a.m., Vega's team contacted Sitter Match. The company confirmed Adebayo Ogunleye's account had been created 6 months prior. The email address was registered to a public library computer in Parma. The phone number was a burner. The background check had been falsified using a stolen identity. The 5-star reviews were fake. Every single one. By 6 a.m., an Amber Alert was issued. Lily Caldwell, 7 years old, 4 feet tall, 60 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. Last seen wearing pink pajamas with stars. Suspected abductor, Adebayo Ogunleye, 28, Nigerian male, 6 feet tall, approximately 180 pounds. Vanessa Caldwell sat in her living room surrounded by officers. She couldn't stop shaking. She kept saying the same thing. He seemed so nice. He was so good with her. Detective Vega pulled cell tower data. Adebayo's phone had last pinged at 12:47 a.m. near Route 71 heading south toward Columbus. Then it went dark. either powered off or destroyed. The FBI was notified at 7:30 a.m. Special Agent Luis Moreno arrived from the Cleveland field office. Child abduction cases involving suspected trafficking fell under federal jurisdiction. The profile was concerning: fake identity, sophisticated planning, immediate deletion of digital footprint. This wasn't impulsive. This was calculated. At 9 a.m., Vega's team received the first potential lead. A gas station attendant in Medina, 40 miles south of Cleveland, reported seeing a white Honda Civic at approximately 1:30 a.m. A man matching Adebayo's description paid cash for gas. He was alone at the register. The attendant didn't see anyone else in the vehicle, but the security footage told a different story. At 1:32 a.m., the camera captured the rear seat of the Honda. A small figure was visible in the back, covered with a blanket, not moving. Lily was in that car, and she was either asleep or unconscious. The vehicle continued south. The next confirmed sighting came from a traffic camera in Mansfield at 3:18 a.m. Same white Honda, still heading south on Y-71. By that point, Adebayo Ogunleye could have been anywhere within a 200-mile radius. The search expanded. FBI analysts examined his digital footprint. They found something unexpected. Adebayo Ogunleye was his real name. He had entered the United States on a student visa in 2018. He'd attended Cleveland State University for one semester before dropping out. His immigration status had since expired. He'd been living under the radar for nearly 4 years. But the deeper they looked, the more complex the picture became. Adebayo had no criminal record, no history of violence, no red flags in his background beyond the expired visa. His former roommate described him as quiet and isolated. He'd worked various jobs: warehouse work, delivery driving, rideshare. He sent money regularly to his family in Nigeria. Then investigators found his second phone. The phone was registered under a different name. It contained encrypted messaging apps, multiple social media accounts, and a folder labeled Projects. Inside were photographs of children, not his own. Different children, different locations, screenshots of family social media accounts. Lily Caldwell's information was there. So was information on 4 other children in Cleveland, 2 in Akron, and 3 in Columbus. This was not Adebayo's first target. It was his 10th. At 2 p.m. on November 8th, FBI agents raided the apartment Adebayo rented in Cleveland's Tremont neighborhood. The space was sparse. Mattress on the floor, folding table, laptop computer. But in the closet, they found something that changed everything. Children's clothing, multiple sizes, toys, coloring books, a small pink backpack. None of it belonged to Lily Caldwell. It was evidence of previous victims. Agent Moreno immediately contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, cross-referencing the clothing sizes and toy types with recent missing children reports in Ohio. 3 matches came back immediately. 2 children reported missing from Columbus in the past 6 months. 1 from Akron. All 3 cases involved babysitters who vanished. All 3 cases went cold within 48 hours. The hunt was no longer for a kidnapper. It was for a serial predator. By 4 p.m., the FBI had established a command center. Every law enforcement agency in Ohio was coordinated. Toll booth cameras, rest stop surveillance, hotel registries, bank transactions. They were looking for a white Honda Civic and a man who had successfully evaded capture for at least 6 months. But Adebayo Ogunleye had made one critical mistake. At 6:47 p.m., a security camera at a rest stop near Portsmouth, Ohio, captured the Honda pulling into the parking lot. Adebayo got out. He walked toward the building. He was on the phone. The camera captured him for 43 seconds before he returned to the vehicle. Digital forensics traced the call. It went to a number in Lagos, Nigeria. The number belonged to his brother, Chukwudi Ogunleye. The conversation lasted 3 minutes. The FBI obtained a warrant for the call records. The translation was devastating. Adebayo told his brother he was completing a delivery. He mentioned a final payment and talked about starting over. He said he'd be out of the country within 48 hours. Chukwudi tried to talk him out of it. Adebayo ended the call abruptly. The FBI now had confirmation. This was human trafficking, and Adebayo was planning to leave the country with Lily. At 8 p.m., agents identified the likely destination, a property in rural Scioto County, near the Kentucky border. The property was owned by a shell company registered in Delaware. The deed traced back to a network investigators had been monitoring for 2 years, a trafficking operation moving children from the Midwest to international buyers. A tactical team was assembled. FBI hostage rescue, Ohio State Police SWAT. At 10:30 p.m., they surrounded the property, a farmhouse, 2 outbuildings. The white Honda was parked behind a barn. The raid began at 10:47 p.m. Officers breached the farmhouse. 2 men inside were taken into custody immediately. Neither was Adebayo Ogunleye. The barn was empty. But in the smaller outbuilding, a converted storage shed, they found what they were looking for. Lily Caldwell was inside. She was alive. She was sitting on a cot. She was wearing different clothes, a dress that didn't fit her. Her hair had been cut short. She was crying, but physically unharmed. A female agent, Maria Sanchez, approached her slowly. Lily asked for her mother. Adebayo Ogunleye was not on the property. For 6 hours, the tactical team searched the surrounding woods. K-9 units, thermal imaging, helicopters with spotlights. At 4:20 a.m. on November 9th, they found him hiding in a drainage culvert half a mile from the farmhouse. He surrendered without resistance. The interrogation began at 7 a.m. at the FBI field office in Columbus. Adebayo sat across from Agent Moreno and Detective Vega. He refused to speak without an attorney. But before his lawyer arrived, he made one statement. He said he was sorry. He said he needed the money. He said his family was starving. Agent Moreno asked about the other children. Adebayo looked at the floor. He said nothing. The investigation revealed the full scope over the following weeks. Adebayo Ogunleye had been operating in Ohio for 8 months. He'd successfully abducted and trafficked 6 children before Lily Caldwell. 4 had been recovered from locations in Mexico and Canada. 2 were still missing. The trafficking network he worked with had connections in 14 countries. His role was simple: gain access, abduct the child, deliver them to handlers. He was paid $15,000 per child. The trial began in March. The evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, digital records, testimony from other victims' families, DNA evidence linking him to multiple abduction sites. The defense argued coercion. They claimed Adebayo himself was a victim, trafficked into the operation, threatened with violence against his family in Nigeria. The prosecution acknowledged his difficult circumstances, but emphasized the premeditation, the fake profiles, the calculated deception, the systematic targeting of vulnerable single mothers. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Adebayo Ogunleye was convicted on 14 federal charges: kidnapping, human trafficking, conspiracy, identity fraud, and child exploitation. He was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. Vanessa Caldwell attended every day of the trial. She never looked at Adebayo. On the day of sentencing, she read a victim impact statement. She described the moment she found Lily's empty bedroom. She described the weeks of therapy. She described her daughter's nightmares. She ended with 6 words: "He destroyed our sense of safety." Lily Caldwell is now 9 years old. She lives with her mother in a different city. She no longer takes piano lessons. She struggles with anxiety. But she's in therapy. She's drawing again. Her artwork has changed. Darker colors, fewer people. But her mother frames every piece. The other 4 children recovered from the trafficking network returned to their families. 2 are in long-term treatment for trauma. The 2 still missing are listed as endangered. Their cases remain open. Sittermatch implemented new security protocols after the case: mandatory in-person verification, third-party background checks, real-time monitoring of sitter locations. It wasn't enough to restore trust. The company shut down operations in 2024. In Cleveland, the case led to the creation of the Child Safety Verification Act. All childcare providers must now undergo quarterly background checks. All platforms must verify identity in person, before account activation. Vanessa Caldwell testified before the state legislature in support of the bill. Detective Sharon Vega retired in 2025. She worked in child safety for 2 more years after Lily's rescue. She described the case as the one that nearly broke her, but she said what mattered most was clear. Lily Caldwell survived. She's home. She's healing. The apartment building where Vanessa and Lily lived has new security cameras. Every entrance, every hallway. The footage is monitored 24 hours a day. In the lobby, there's a small plaque. It doesn't mention Lily's name. It simply reads, "Trust carefully." Vanessa sees it every time she comes home. Some nights, she still checks Lily's bedroom window. She makes sure it's locked. She makes sure the alarm is set. Then, she sits beside her daughter's bed and watches her sleep. The stuffed rabbit is still there. Lily won't let it go. Those belong to her. They always have.